Well, isolated thunderstorms possible later on this afternoon. We'll have all the weather details for you coming up in just a little bit. 8 o'clock on this Friday morning. And welcome back to the Morning Drill. Joining us this morning, we are privileged to have former NFL player Blaise Winter join us and Rocket football coach Tom Hancock. Good morning, guys. How are you?
Good morning.
Very good.
Welcome to the show.
Hey, it's great to be here.
Blaise, we're going to ask you a ton of questions, but first let's start with Coach. Yeah, bring it in.
I'm ready.
Bring it in.
Come on.
Be,
I can still deliver something.
You know, we built the promos up this week. Yeah. This could be the biggest challenge of his career, being interviewed on the Morning Drill.
That's what I heard, too.
Yeah.
You better strap it on. Yeah.
Well, let's start with Coach Hancock real quick. Coach, you're coming up in the second year as head football coach for the Titusville Rocket football team, and we just mentioned before the break that football season's just a couple months away, but you guys are going to be out at Carter Field here shortly.
Absolutely, you know, and with Blaise coming here, you know, tomorrow we're going to do a mini clinic for our youth football coaches. We're going to do a clinic for our 7th and 8th grade through 12th grade, so our 7th and 8th and varsity programs. We're going to have a number of 7-on-7s coming up and a number of lineman challenges through the next few months. Next week we're at a lineman challenge in Franklin, and then we have Teddy Muir's event that we're going to be waiters for. So got a lot of things in the pipeline right now.
And we're going to come back to that with your involvement in the community and your approach over the last year. But first, Blaise, let's get to you because you've done a lot of great things with your life, and giving back and getting involved with communities has been part of that. So we're going to tie the two in together later on. But Blaise, first of all, welcome. Thank you for joining us here this morning.
My pleasure.
Tell us a little bit about yourself. I mean, you can go to Wikipedia, you can go to your website, but let's hear it from you. Tell us your story.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, the amount of stuff on there that is that are accurate and also misleading, but I was born in New York, in the city, and raised in Rockland County, New York, and to a very passionate, colorful artist. My mother raised around grandparents that were on Broadway, and it was a house filled with color and excitement on her half by my mother, and it was an ugly dimension on my father's side. It was somewhat like, you know, that issue of Black and White. It was such an opposite that exists in my house. But you learn to deal with those things. And I was fortunate enough to be put on a football field when I was very young. And it somewhat helped me identify myself and my value. I wasn't much of a guy who communicated many words because I have a hard time with that. Born with a severe cleft lip and palate. I went through speech therapy for many, many years. And that football feel for me was my voice. I mean, it was my way of reaching people. And I remember when my mom put me out there, I walked away from the car and I turned around and I said to myself, I hate you. I hate you. Because I was so frustrated and mad at her that she would put me out on a field. But her thought was, you better learn how to help yourself. You better face your fears. I was a guy who was always isolated. I like to be alone and think bad thoughts. So a football field was exposing me to those that would abuse me in school, and to a game that I knew nothing about. And my mom thought, you want to play that game. And I had to make it clear to her as we pulled up near the field, I don't want to do this. Just take me home. Wow. And she said, you have no choice. And then the coach brought me to the pile of helmets and shoulder pads, and my life forever changed.
When did you realize you had some talent? Was it a struggle for you to fight that I don't want to be here? And, well, wait a second. I have some talent.
Now, Tom, did you hear that? I have some talent. All right, I haven't heard that very much. I haven't heard that very much. I'm very I'm glad I'm here in PA.
And that wraps up the show for today.
Yeah, I think we should end on a high note. You know what? Seriously, all kidding aside, I was told by my high school coach, I was told by my college coaches that there was always a limit to what I could do, but yet again, I went on to play at the highest level for not 1 year, not for a tryout, but for 11 years in the NFL. And wow. I believe in perseverance. I believe in being relentless. I believe in those things, and I live those things. I pursue heavily what I want. I wanted to be here. I'm so fortunate that Tom and the school district, with James and Scott and Emily at the chamber, found a way to say, hey, come on in, we want you here. We want some of those things to be offered to our young people and to our community. But for me, football became my voice, my ID, and I could reach so many other people because I could play a game rather well, not real well according to the experts, but I learned to pay attention to detail, and I developed myself, in all three areas: spiritually, intellectually, and physically. And because those three things were part of my life since I could remember, I survived in a game that has a lot of physically very gifted people playing out there in the NFL.
There's probably a million questions we could ask you about the NFL. We might touch upon some of those, but what I'm interested in is that connection, that, again, looking at the talent and being able to say, you know what, no, I can push myself to go beyond that. Was there a time where you wanted to say or go back to the high school and say, see what I've accomplished? Or did you take the approach, hey, let's not let other kids slip through the cracks? If they show any signs of talents or gifts, just please pay attention to what these kids are doing. I
have been honored by my college. I have been inducted into the New York State Hall of Fame. The gentleman who handed me the trophy in New York when I was inducted into that Hall of Fame was my high school coach. And all I can tell you is that I walked into that event wanting to say, see, you're wrong. See, I told you I would do it. But at that time of my life, back in the late 90s, I thought, I'm going to be the better man. I'm going to appreciate who he is and what he's done for me, because he did challenge me. And on the way off the stage, when he handed me that trophy, he said to me in a whisper, I am sorry. I misjudged you. Wow. And all these years that he must have been feeling that, he suffered enough. But my belief is you better be careful who you judge, especially with me, because I'll prove you wrong every single time. I mean, look, I wasn't able to speak very well when I was a young child. I still have certain problems with pronunciating certain words, but I speak for a living. That's amazing. I am named after St. Blaise. I mean, everything's lining up to where the good Lord wants me to be, and I'm so fortunate that I'm here in Titusville, and I'm really enjoying the people that I'm meeting. I'm really enjoying working with Tom. A very loyal, very genuine person, and I'm excited to hopefully have an impact on many, many lives while I'm here in the next day and a half.
Tom, not only are you the football coach, but you're involved in the school. You see these kids every day. Mm-hmm. How do you not let a kid slip through? And again, living in a small town, you hear a lot. Oh, you can't do that, or you don't want to do that, or just be reasonable. Think about things. And I don't think sometimes push our kids to go beyond their capabilities when they could. How do you solve that?
I think that's, we talked a little bit about that this morning at breakfast, but, Blaise has traveled so many different places, and, we're a smaller town, and there's a certain level of comfort that comes with that. And they are the kids that we work with are maybe the top of their class here, but we have to realize we have to continue to push and excel, because there are a lot of other peoples and there's other valleys that we've got to overcome. And that's one of the reasons that I knew that we needed to break out of that kind of we're comfortable right now, right where we are. We've got to continue to push forward. And when I was down at the Glazier Clinic in Pittsburgh, that's where I saw Blaise speak, and I knew he was great at football. The Glazier Clinics are good at bringing excellent people in. The thing is, though, I wasn't looking at him from just a football perspective. I looked at him, he's got a deeper message, something that may connect with not just our football players, but our whole school, our whole community, that we've got to go farther. We've got to take chances, and, when you take chances, sometimes it doesn't always work out. But
but you have to take those risks.
Yes. What Tom just said, you must understand, it's real simple to look at me and understand after a few moments, I'm a fighter. I'm not going down without a fight. I'm not going away without a fight. I'm here for all the right reasons, and somebody out there needs me. And that's going to be my approach. I'm not better than anyone out there. I'm going to help them stay true to what they can do rather than what they cannot do. I'm going to feed that part of them that many others might have fed, you can't do this. I know what it feels like to be told you can't do anything. To this day, I face this challenge, as you do, and Tom does, and everybody else does. Hey, it's easier to do this. Just do what's easiest. Well, we have too many of those things going on right now where it's leading to problems. We need to be determined to get positive things done, and I'm very determined to do that.
Why are we so against letting kids fail sometimes? And I don't mean to. I mean, this is a whole educational debate, but it seems like we're always there to catch the kids and say, "Oh, it's okay." Or this drove me nuts this year. The kids came back and showed me their homework, and we push our kids to do their best, and you see the problems they got wrong, but they were allowed to go back and correct them. And Sam, our oldest, said,
"It's a slippery slope you're going down."
I know, but I'm saying though.
Yeah, I understand.
Why are we so? And again, in business, why are we afraid of failure? We learn so much from it.
I'm allowed to say it.
Right.
I'm not with the school district. I'm not with anyone tied to one institution. We love children. I love my own. I hate to see them in pain, and we've compromised to a point of excusing them from any sort of position of pain, and we have to let them to a certain degree fall and get bloodied at times. They'll get emotionally stirred up. Those are healthy things that were given to us the time that we were born. You cry hard to get mom's attention. You can't be held 24/7, and not everybody deserves a trophy. And we just have to understand that we can love our kids by pushing them away. We can show them more by pushing them away and say, hey, you're on your own here. You have to learn this for yourself. I can't cover everything. I know, being a parent myself of 2 teenage boys, I've made a lot of mistakes because of loving them to the point where I want to protect them from everything out there. And now at 17 and 15, I see the mistakes that I made. I admit it. So I'm in a position right now in my own personal life where I'm saying, son, you're on your own. But Dad, I don't know what to do. You have to learn to know. You have to learn to figure it out. But I'm so frustrated. You need to learn to deal with frustration. And I think a lot of us just have to step back and say, hey, man, for example, in football, coaches, hey, man, you got to get up. I can't help you up every play or put you in the perfect position to win every play. And I think life is the same way. You have to at times fall, and we as leaders of our communities have to sometimes turn away from them and walk away from them rather than run to them with open arms. Sometimes we have to put our arms down and say, hey, man, you got to learn it the hard way for you to really understand how good you can be.
Do you find that this is a way to, say, quantify perseverance, that fighting spirit? I mean, a lot of times adults have a hard time wrapping their arms around this. I guess what I'm asking is, how do you make them touch the ground with this? How do they finally figure that out for real?
I think there's going to be a certain emotional pain that a parent has to experience before they understand the benefit that comes to the child. And I think overall, none of us like to deal with pain of any sort. So we try to mask, cover, protect everything. And I think that's leading to a culture that has a lot of self-destruction.
I think, kind of going off that, I think it was a good question. Don't get me wrong, but it gives the kids. I don't think it's just a school related, or it is societal kind of thing, but it's kind of a false positive, or a false sense of security. There's in my other job as a school psychologist, that cognitive dissonance. That's what you have to have that stress put on that kid at some point in order to improve himself. That, I think, is a problem for us right now, sports-wise. If you're not starting, you don't see yourself as having any value to the team. And that hurts us terribly as far as my team goes. And there's a step. You've got to pay your dues to get there.
Right.
A lot of times guys are like, no, I'll go someplace else where somebody will appreciate me. That's not it. But they don't seem.
And I don't mean to single out school. I mean, same with business. And this is great while you're talking to the chamber, because even in business, why if a business fails, people are there to go, oh, you failed. Why? I mean, these people take a chance.
Yeah.
I'm studying warriorship. I'm studying the samurai. I'm studying our military forces, and I'll use my own little personal story that people just don't quite understand, but I'm going to share it. I got a 15-year-old who's my size, and he wants to be a football player. And I told him when he said, I want to be a Division I football player and an NFL player, I told him on that day he said that, I told him my job is to get you to change your mind. My job is I'm going to change your mind by your senior year. And I'm going to ride you. I'm going to push you. You're going to cry. You're going to bleed. You're going to sweat. You're going to, at times, even feel like you're going to pass out, and maybe you will. But my job is to break you of that thought. I want you not to dream that dream. But I'm going to. We'll see. Well, is now going to be a sophomore. He was 170 pounds in April of last year. He's 207 1 year later. I can't get him out of the weight room. He runs on his own. He does these things. And I say, none of your teammates are doing this. Why are you doing this? I have a dream, but it's painful, isn't it? Yeah, Dad, that's part of it. Now he's starting to condition himself to understand this is part of the journey. And my job, I told him again when I left home the other day, I have to break you of this. I have to take it away from you. You're not going to. If you really achieve what you want to achieve your senior year, you will enjoy it so much more because of what you've gone through. Rather than come to me your senior year, say, why didn't you tell me the truth? And a lot of kids are very bitter because they haven't been told the truth about you gotta bleed for it, you gotta fight for it, you gotta scar your mind and body for it if you want to be great at it. To be great at anything, you gotta sacrifice. In a world now that it's really steering away from sacrifice, I'm trying to teach my son that if you truly understand sacrifice, you'll appreciate the reward more than ever before.
Is it too easy to quit today?
Yes.
Is that part?
Yes.
I mean, is that part of it? I mean, Tom, you look at some of those players that over the last couple of years that maybe said, well, I'm not going to play football this year, or I'm going to take a break from this, or
that's it's tough because they don't quit; they just don't come out then.
Yeah,
and then that's difficult because then they can say, well, I never quit. Well, yeah, but you didn't try either. You did something else. Mm-hmm.
Hey, Tom, we talked about this morning also. I mean, don't we all at times feel like, I know I do, I'll speak for myself, I feel like a dinosaur. I mean, one day I'm going into the woods, I'm not coming out. Because more and more as I look around, nobody quite understands, what are you talking about? What do you stand for? This is crazy. You would do this type of dialogue with your son? You're an abusive parent. No, I'm a caring dad. I want my sons to persevere through high and low and reap the reward. I believe in blood, sweat, and tears. And because it's not quite accepted the way it used to be, maybe the dinosaur will one day disappear, and maybe I'll lead the way. But at least I'll rest in peace, knowing that I've stayed true to something that has been around in the readings I have read. Been around since the beginning of time, and if we lose those things, I think we lose an awful lot of momentum.
We're running out of time. I know you have commitments this morning, and we could spend probably a few hours having this discussion. I'd like to see you tackle Tom.
Come on there.
There we go. I'll run.
So, Tom, let's tie in this community aspect, because Blaise, you're also here to talk about. You're here to talk to the community. I don't know how well you know Tom, but he's done an incredible. And I think Salvo has done that too, and Wiley and other coaches. But there's such a commitment to saying to these kids, get involved in your community. Let's give back. Let's help out. And he's doing that. He's creating that connection and that bond and letting these kids have that experience. Talk a little bit about that and how that's going to benefit these kids.
Well, I'm going to share out loud. I know what this gentleman has done for me, and all the work has been put in to bring me here, along with a group of other people. Obviously, James and Scott and Emily from the Chamber. I mean, a lot of great people have worked hard to say, hey, this is going to be a difference maker in the lives of many of our community members. And I'm very excited about that. But the amount of effort, blood, sweat, and tears that have been put in, and after a while, it's really easy to say, it's too hard, forget it. I have more people than you can imagine to say, maybe next year, and they never come back. From the moment I met Tom, I realized how loyal he was to his community, to his school, to the people that are there, and he wants to stir them up. He's not afraid to take shots. By the end of today and tomorrow, there will be some people that will say to him, how dare you bring Blaise Winter here? This guy's crazy.
We can wrap that
up. But you know what? He's genuine, he's loyal, and those are qualities that are, I feel a certain obligation to him in a very positive way.
Yeah, well, you talk about kids needing to take a chance. Coaches take a chance too, and they got to look at these kids and say, yeah, you know what, I'm going to start you because I believe in you, or I see something.
Hey, I know how much this gentleman loves what he does and the people he works with, and he wants it to be the best it can be, the best experience, and in the long run, he wants to see these young people have a positive outcome where they one day can say, you know what, I'm so much better off because Coach gave me, not Blaise, Coach gave me his heart and soul.
Blaise, I got to ask you one NFL question because you seem like a straight shooter. Was it ever difficult to just go and do your job? Is there a lot of stuff behind the scenes that just really doesn't pertain to the game, or were you able to get in there and just play the game?
I believe there's, when you step on the field and there's boundaries, everybody who has a problem or an alternative motive is told, no, you don't go out there. And I'm so thankful to God above for giving me boundaries that let me play the game the way it's meant to be played, from the inside out. And now there's more than ever distractions that are yelling from the boundaries. Hey, what about this? It's unfortunate, but the boundaries are what saves us as players that want to simply play the game that we love, which is a very violent, physical game of emotion. And we just want the people that are on the boundaries to stay there. Don't step on the field. Leave us alone. Let us play the game that we love.
From the game of football to the game of life, Blaise, it seems like you might inspire a few people today.
I sure hope so.
Inspired us. Tom, it's always a pleasure talking to you. You and I have had little talks throughout the year, and we were excited when we found out you were the head football coach last year, and just what you've done to the kids and getting them involved. You deserve a lot of credit for that and keeping that going. And
can I headbutt him?
I can't remember words now. So, thank you very much.
Looking forward to the season.
Thanks for having us.
Tom, you looking forward to the season?
Yes, absolutely.
All right.
We got a few schedule changes, so we're away for the first three games, but we'll come back even stronger, I think. So that'll be good.
Alrighty, Tom
Don't you
Hancock.
love those boos when you're away, man? I love the boos. Arrowhead, when I was a Charger, boo! I love those boos, man. They fire you up.
They do.
Well, there's a lot.
We get enough of them. That'll be a few.
There's a lot of Steeler fans that probably booed you.
Oh man, I always wanted to play for them growing up. I love that team, and I love what it stands for.
All right, hey, Tom Hancock, Blaise Winter, thank you so much for your time. Best of luck today, and hopefully we can have you back sometime.
Absolutely.
Right. Tom, get him back.
Okay.
All righty. We'll be back right after this.
The world gets still